President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has arrived in Nigeria after attending the G20 summit in India. Prior to his arrival, he did a stopover in Dubai, where he met the President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The meeting, which held on Monday in Abu Dhabi, produced a historic agreement, which resulted in the immediate cessation of the visa ban placed on Nigerian travelers. Following this historic agreement, it is believed that Etihad and Emirates Airlines will resume flight operations in Nigeria. However, the airlines are yet to confirm resumption of flights between the two countries. Not even their official websites have reflected this new agreement. It will be recalled that the lifting of the ban comes nearly 3 weeks after President Tinubu expressed his willingness to personally intervene to end the nearly one-year ban. Joining us now, the morning show, to discuss how this agreement will impact Nigeria's aviation sector is Amos Akpan, an aviation expert. Good morning, Mr. Akpan, Managing Director of Flight and Logistics Solutions, and thank you very much for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Well, you are the expert, subject area expert. As of yesterday morning, we were told that Nigerian officials were meeting with officials from the UAE and representatives of Emirates about how to actualize this agreement about the resumption of flights by Etihad and Emirates Airlines in and out of Nigeria. And you could see that people have been jubilating about that, and also the fact that the visa ban on Nigerians has also been lifted. But within the industry, what is the reaction? Is there similar excitement within the industry, particularly on the part of airline operators of Nigeria? And what do you know about these two major items that people have been talking about, especially as we don't seem to see that same excitement on the part of Emirates Airlines or Etihad?
Thank you. In the aviation industry, the general mood is caution. Right now, we have very little to work with because whatever comments that will be made now is merely speculative, is opinions. They are not facts on the documents that the directors and the ministers are working on now. The optics are okay for Nigeria. Our president, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has made the right move. But the devil is in the fine details. If I were in the team or to have the ear of the minister now, and the directors and the protocol people from the Foreign Affairs Ministry and the Ministry of Aviation, I would like to use this as an opportunity to look more on the Nigerian side in terms of what I'm bringing on the table than on the excitement of Emirates and Etihad resuming flights and the issuance of visas to Nigerians. I would think, what is the need for Nigeria in this new resumption of flights? I would like to speak with the chairman of APs, the MD of Ibom Air, Max Air, the director of Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and so on, so that I would take their input, their feelings. They are my customer. They are the people that I represent. I would talk to the travel agencies in Nigeria, the very key and important travel agencies. I want to feel the pulse. What would they want? Input into this draft that is being prepared based as a result of this particular announcement by the two heads of governments. So that is more important. What is Nigeria's interest in this? How many frequencies will be given to APs and to which airports? And what is the capacity that we are presenting in this particular resumption of flights, it is important to have Nigeria's interest in it. And the aviation industry can only be cautious at this point until they see the document. And when the document comes out, we will know what is in it for us and be able to contribute. But the least we expect is that we should be consulted before this document is finalized, so that our inputs representing the interests of our own industry and sector, our home and our people, is carried along. Don't forget, the people of United Arab Emirates don't do these things without an overall agenda in their system. Emirates Airlines or Etihad Airlines are not designed as a project just because they have to come to Lagos and go back. They are designed as a project that contributes to the GDP of the national economy of UAE. So we should also take that into consideration when our people are going for this kind of negotiations.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you've talked about proper consultation with stakeholders in the aviation industry before an agreement is entered into, not just in this situation, but in other areas. And it brings to question the decision made by the Minister for Aviation and Aerospace Development with regards to his announcement on the closure of one of the international airports and its effect, and what some people have said was done without due consultation with stakeholders like yourselves. But back to the UAE matter, in terms of the details, because that's what we are interested in. Following the announcement, still jubilations going on, but the details, you've said that there are some recommendations. Are there some recommendations? You know, you talked about making sure it's beneficial, but what are some of the things that should be included in terms of the details of those agreements? Assuming you were consulted or the minister is watching right now, what would you recommend?
First and foremost, I want us to understand that we are not equitable in terms of going for these negotiations because we don't have a hub airport yet. And Dubai is a hub airport. So that in itself is a minus in going for this kind of negotiations. Because the frequency for which they will take is not because people are going to Dubai as destinations. This must be understood. They are going to Dubai as transit. If you're carrying, hypothetically, if you're carrying 100 passengers on an aircraft into Dubai, it's expected that 70 of those passengers are transiting to India, China, from Dubai. They are joining adjoining flights, continuing flights to other stations. It's just about 30 of them that will be destination Dubai. So that's a very small number. So that's the entire plan they are going for. We don't have that kind of setup in Nigeria where APs will come from Dubai or anywhere else to come and empty passengers who are transiting and going to other stations. They're just coming as destination Nigeria. So they have that in the advantage. So when we are going in, we note that. And then when we want to discuss, we say, okay, the basics are that reciprocity will be the first thing we put on the table. The Dubai airport, not Sharjah airport. If you are coming, if you are designating Emirates to Lagos airport, 7 frequencies a week. The least you can give is 5 frequencies a week. It should be 7 frequencies also to APs. It is left for APs to do the 7 frequencies, but it should be given to APs because that is our own designated carrier on that route, and that carries our flag. So that's what should be. It should be 7 for 7, 5 for 5, and so on. And it's left for the carrier that has been so designated to be able to meet up. But first, it must be coming equitably. That's what must be given. That's how it should be. That's what should be on the document. Other issues involved are the ancillary services. To grow aviation, it's not just flying an aircraft. There's a handling company, there's a catering company, there's a fueling company, there's the travel agencies, and so on. There's the ICT companies that give software. How are these part of the team that supplies services the ancillary services that makes for the growth of the industry, is Etihad and Emirates patronizing this system as they should. That should be looked into. Not just come here and have a contract staff and that's it all. And then when we get there, we are forced to have some labor issues because we must recruit, there are guidelines. And so these guidelines must be taken into consideration during negotiations like this. So our input is simple: reciprocity. That's the summary of our input.
Okay, I'd like to ask you, in all of this, I hear Dubai, 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 it's a hub. It didn't happen overnight. They built it to be a hub for all these airlines. They built it to be a connection point. Today, Qatar too is that a hub, because a lot of people pass through Qatar when they're going to other places. How can we build Nigeria, Lagos International Airport, as a hub, Abuja? Because my dream for Nigeria is I want the world too to come through Nigeria where they are going to other places. How can we do the same for Nigeria so that that revenue can remain in Nigeria, so that Nigeria can be solid and grow?
Thank you. It's a deliberate policy. Like I said, it's part of a national agenda in Dubai. The National Economic Planning Ministry or Department, they plan with the industries for the future of what they want to be in the next 15, 20, 25 years. So it's a deliberate policy. The Minister of Aviation can build a hub airport within his 4-year tenure. It's not rocket science. And what is a hub airport? For instance, let's always come to practical illustration hypothesis. Lagos is, in terms of statistics, traffic statistics for aircraft operations and for passenger movement, aircraft movement, is the highest in the West African sub-region in terms of numbers. Lagos Airport. And so what I would do if I were a minister, I would take the decision that I would make Lagos Airport a connection point that pulls in like an osmotic effect on all cities in West African sub-region. Every city in West African sub-region, you fly into Lagos, you have a flight to go to anywhere in the world you want to go to. I will make that possible. I would link the local to the international by rail. I will establish the cargo hub center, which Ball, Ethiopian, is doing in Addis Ababa now. We establish a cargo hub center for transit, for DHL, UPS, everybody carrying cargo. So that you want to carry something to Mali, it has to come to Nigeria, and then you transship it to Mali, you transship it to Ouagadougou, transship it to Guinea. So make Lagos a hub. How? Infrastructures and functional facilities. That I come in, I have a lot of terminals, a lot of gates, a lot of information centers, free hallways, and people attending. Make it a hub. It could accommodate more aircraft, than is currently. In fact, I'm not at home with the issue of trying to renovate the old airports and sandwiching people in the new terminal, the old terminal, because it's an opportunity to break it down and give us something, design something that will be for the next 45, 50 years in mind. Gather statistics, and then you plan it. It's deliberate. It has to be deliberate. And it has to be deliberately done by the government in power. You consult the experts, consult the private entrepreneurs and operators, the agencies, FAN, NAMA, NIMET, AIB, or NSIB, NCAA, they have experts. We have experts in aerodrome planning in our NCAA today. They would sit down and develop, gather data. Data are available in ICAO and UN. You gather data and you synthesize this and you come up with a good plan that would designate Lagos, for instance. Start with Lagos. You can't have a hub in Lagos because data supports it.
We need to manage time, but I need you to also talk about us, the travelers, the people who use these aviation services, about the challenges that the ordinary traveler faces in Nigeria. Rising cost of tickets. tickets have become so expensive. Aviation fuel crisis. Cancellation of flights without any prior notice, making people miss appointments. These are not necessarily, things caused by government. What are the challenges that the operators face that they are not providing the kind of quality service that the average traveler across Nigeria and even abroad expects? Did you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you now.
Yes, no, I wanted to...
Can you hear me?
Yes, okay. I wanted you to talk about the challenges that travelers face. Cancellation of flights, delay of flights, poor quality of service, complaints about aviation fuel all the time, high cost of tickets. These are not necessarily things that are caused by government, are they?
Oh, okay. First and foremost, my comment on that is that, first and foremost, our aviation system, right from the air operators of Nigeria, the current operators of airlines and the government managers of the system, we designed our businesses without taking the customer as priority. When you're setting up an airline, the schedule and the operational plan should be geared towards the customer satisfaction. When you're setting up an airport and an aviation infrastructure and facilities, it should be the customer designed. It should be designed to meet the customer needs. Now, what we are doing now is that we force the customer into what we are doing. We force them. You have to take a flight for a particular business. You have to align yourself with the schedule of the airline. The schedule of the airline is not planned to meet you, the traveler needs. That research has to be done. And the airports are not designed also, and other facilities in the sector are not designed for the customers, for the airline, and for other users. So that when we address that, it will be easier now to build on customer satisfaction. That is very key, because you find yourself, you carry your diary and you begin to plan to travel and you begin to make alternatives, because when you get to the airport, you'll be delayed. And if you don't have the money to buy another airline ticket, they have not even interlined their ticket, such that the next airline going in the next hour, you'll be able to use that same ticket to board it. And if you don't have the money at this high cost, so that's number one. Number two is that the infrastructures, the facilities that are now, they are not adequate. Okay, let me say maintenance, for instance. Most people have scheduled for 10 aircrafts, and by the time an aircraft goes out for maintenance, it's not back on time on schedule. Another one goes out, it's not back on time. Another one, it ends up having 5 aircraft. Meanwhile, it had published schedules for 10. So it's bound to be unreliable in its schedule. So the maintenance infrastructure is not there. It's not there. Aero Contractor is trying, 7-Star Global is trying, but they don't have the room to meet up the number of aircraft that they can take in and maintain. The IBOM MRO is taking long to come online. And that is what the minister should pay attention. Should have a meeting with them and say, how can this come online to improve the return to service of aircraft? The fuel, of course, we know that we don't refine it here. So by the time it's imported, it goes through the rigors. We have issues with... So the pricing keeps rising because the cost of production keeps rising. And there are a lot of hurdles and obstacles. To come to flight delays, sometimes you share it in percentage between the government infrastructure and the airline improper schedule planning. Airline has some blames in it. If you know that an airport shuts down at 6 p.m., a notice has been issued, you plan to get to that airport before 6 p.m. and depart at 6 p.m. And so you arrange your aircraft movement in such a way that it meets that. And if they are not able to do that, it's their fault. It's the fault of the airline. And then the government also have to reduce this concept of VIP movement. If you can hear me. Where you delay.
Yes, if we could just land on that point so that we'll go. We're trying to manage time. Can you hear me?
Okay, so it's a mix scenario that we have, and we have to address it. There has to be, in fact, there should be a deliberate policy of emergency on the aviation industry because it contributes to the growth of Nigerian GDP. It contributes. $1.7 billion is a lot of money as at 2022. So we should think of how to declare an emergency in this sector so that we can grow this sector and we can align it. When opportunities come, we tap into it, like it's coming now in the Euro area reopening.